Now, federal immigration authorities have arrested a Palestinian graduate student who played a key role in the disgusting anti-Israel protests that took place at Columbia University. Mahmoud Khalil, he helped lead the protest movement that, as we all saw, turned violent, and he's essentially the first person arrested as the Trump administration cracks down on the college campus protests that have just really let anti-Semitism fester. We've heard from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He said that the administration will be revoking the visas and all green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported. But an update this morning is that a judge has blocked efforts to deport Mahmoud Khalil, which is just insane. Why should Hamas supporters be allowed to stay in America?
Your guess is as good as mine. The idea here that this Syrian-born Palestinian activist who espouses anti-American and anti-West values, part of one of the protests he's actually been involved in some capacity, wants to tear down the West, right? So everything he believes is antithetical to the United States, and to try and defend that by saying, well, he deserves free speech, it is risible to believe that our founders would have said, well, of course, an anti American terrorist sympathizer should be allowed to stay in the United States because of free speech, right? Free speech came with a responsibility, and Americans have a responsibility to protect their country. When you allow foreigners to come here who have cultures that hate America, what do you think that does to our fabric and our society?
Absolutely. And Donald Trump, well, his administration has pulled $400 million from Columbia University due to the Ivy League school's failure to really cut out anti-Semitism on campus. We all saw that. The Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, said that universities must comply with all federal anti-discrimination laws if they're going to receive federal funding. For too long, Columbia has abandoned that obligation to Jewish students studying on its campus. And today we demonstrate to Columbia and other universities that we will not tolerate their appalling inaction for any longer. Wow, it's a powerful statement, and they are not mucking around. It's really showing all universities that they won't stand for this anymore, that they're not going to be getting funding when this type of dangerous behaviour that we all witnessed time and time again, especially last year, was allowed to take place.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately a year and a half too late. We had a very feckless administration, and these aren't just regular protests we're seeing on college campuses. You have intimidation of Jewish students, you have protesters violently breaking down and destroying property on Columbia, for example. Students, Jewish students in particular, are not able to get to their classes. And so if Columbia wants to receive federal funding, they have to make sure that they are enforcing anti-discrimination laws. And it's a real shame that it took Columbia possibly losing money for them to finally step up and do what they should have done a long time ago.